What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live with the sniffles or a cold or something. This morning, this foggy gray morning, May the 17th, here on a small island off the coast of Costa Rica. It's about 8:30 in the morning, and I have a horrible allergy attack or yet another cold. Who knows? Who cares? It's time for crowdfunding news. Time to look at all the tabletop role-playing game and tabletop role-playing game adjacent, I like that word, adjacent, crowdfunding, Kickstarter, group funding projects that are coming to an end, but you still have a time to jump on that grenade and get yourself a copy of a game and maybe from swag or stuff. Only one thing sort of stands out this week, mostly just because of it's silly, and, you know, I like silly. Other than that, no major crowdfunding news. This Outgun thing looks like it's going to be the next member of the $1 Million Club, but we'll get to that in a moment. If anything I say sounds like an interesting project that you want to support, you can find these at your favorite Kickstarter, crowdfunding, group funding, backlit, itch.io, Zine Quest, etc. site. Plus, they all have their own sites as well. All right. And the very first entry for today is yet another virtual tabletop. This one's called Alchemy RPG. It comes to us from a company called, they don't have a name, but it looks like they've picked up a couple different licenses so far. It looks like they've got Free League, Year Zero, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, Vampire, Kids on the Bikes, Powered by the Apocalypse, Modifius 2D20, Mork Borg, Vastgrim, Pirate Borg, City of Mist, and more. And as a moment, 5e, though we know they'll probably lose that once the whole 5e virtual tabletop goes live. So those are all games you could attempt to try and run on Alchemy RPG. $50 is the most popular pledge, gets you your name in it, it gets you a 6-month unlimited access and a deck of content. I don't know what that means. I guess that's stuff you can add. That's assuming it goes live. If it doesn't meet its requirements, then, of course, you just don't have that 6 months free. Is there a market for another virtual tabletop? I don't even know how many there are. Offhand, I can count 4, but I know there's way more than that. I don't know if anybody knows how there's many there actually are. Virtual tabletops don't really advertise themselves. Roll20 does, sort of. But none of the others you really invest a lot of energy. It's, it feels like VTT is more word of mouth. Am I wrong? I don't know. I mean, there's always that ad for the people playing D&D, and they're like, you too, D&D Beyond, you too, Roll20. With the girl, and she's like, fly ahead, that one. But that's like the only one that comes to mind. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right place. Maybe video game more centric sites would pop up more VTTs than tabletop role-playing game centric sites. Because offhand I can think of 4 and now 5, but I know there's more. I mean, I guess there's more. I might be completely wrong. There might only be 4 or 5. I don't know. Does anybody know? Is anybody interested in yet another VTT? Are you happy with the VTT that you have? From Limitless Adventures, we called Limitless Lands of Darbook. This is a 5th edition source book. $35 is the most popular pledge, and it gets you a PDF and the print version of the book. It's back with a cool setting for 5e. Got new feats, new monsters, new spells, new spell options, and some novel ideas. And it's got the setting of Darbook, which is built around, wait for it, here's a word we don't need to hear enough, a multiverse, a shattered multiverse with different floating islands representing different parts of the world. Yeah, okay, sure, that sounds totally new and different. No one's ever done that before. Multiverse, there's a name we don't hear much anymore. From Appendix and Entertainment, I think I know this guy. We have Devilry for Old School Essentials. This is an OSR, OSE, OGL, open source type product. It's a zine, $14. Gives you the PDF and the print version. And it's got basically a whole bunch of devils and demons and other evil monstrosities from the outer planes to let loose on your unsuspecting OGL, OSR, OSE, not 5e type characters. So yeah, demons, devils, and other nasty things for 5e. I mean, for OSE. My recommendation for the week, even though it's not a new one by any way, shape, or form, is Army Men. This is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition tactical role-playing game. $40 is the most popular pledge. Gives you the PDF and the print version, and you get to play plastic toy soldiers in a military faction where you roll out things for your player characters to move their army men against. So World War II aliens and World War II GIs versus firemen. You know, if you find these plastic army men still, you can now play it. So you've got narrative for 5e as well as tactical rules for 5e. Yeah, army men based tactical skirmish rules have been done forever. This guy just tried to do it for 5e. And let's face it, army men are ridiculous. 5e is ridiculous. Little green army men marching around using 5e stats sounds pretty awesome to me. I guess now that means green army men are canon for D&D. And since green army men appear in Toy Story, I guess that means Toy Story is now canon for D&D. So now Woody can run into Drizzt. Because, yeah, remember that whole argument? From Lone Colossus Games, we have Wormling, a wholesome all-age fantasy. This is an original system. $20 gets you the PDF of the book, character sheets, and coloring sheets. It's kids-centric adventures where characters play young dragons as opposed to a kids-centric adventure setting where kids play young ponies or young Pegasuses. It's My Little Pony, but you're dragons instead of ponies. So if you've got a little kid in your life who likes dragons and wants to maybe, you know, baby step their way into Dungeons and Dragons type play, but maybe that's a little too adult for them, this one's all about friendship and magic and breath weapons. From AAW Games, not AEW Games, but AAW Games. Hey, AEW Games, speaking of when are we going to see that video game? It's only been 4 years. We have Mini Dungeon Tomb from AAW. This is an adventure. $49 gets you the PDF and the print version. It's 12 adventures. 250 pages of drag and drop dungeons and encounters for level 1 through 20. 40% of it are mini dungeons. The rest of it is medium level dungeons and high level dungeons. It's technically designed for 5e, but you could probably use it for any setting. So if you're looking for 250 pages of pre-made dungeons, you can get this one for $50, or you could just find them for free online, but just do random dungeon generator. That's where I find most of mine. But yeah! And this week's entry in the $1 Million Club is Outgun from Two Little Mice. $149 gets you the PDF, print version of all 3 books, a GM screen, dice, cards, and even more PDFs. This is a James Bond, Atomic Blonde, Ocean's 11, John Wick franchised role-playing game about cinematic action. 200 pages plus 2 other books that tell you about world building. It's by the same people who brought you Household and Broken Compass. So the quality is apparently pretty good. So if you're looking to run a modern day super action, bullet time, John Wick style role-playing game, here you go. And this looks to be the next member of the Kickstarter $1 Million Club. Remember where somebody suggested, was a year or so ago, that, the perfect setting for John Wick would be Vampire the Masquerade. The secret societies, the world nobody sees, the levels of, respect, and the codes. It all feels very Vampire Masquerade. So, yeah. I mean, John Wick's a vampire, So they're already talking about John Wick 5, but isn't he dead at the end of 4? Unless they do it as a prequel. I know there's talking also about spin-offs, which I don't know if we really need, and a series, which again, I don't know if we really need. From Nerdburger Games, we have What is Light Without Dark for RPG. This is a source book for the Roll Track system, $22. Gets you the PDF and the soft cover of the book. It's written by Craig Campbell and other people. It's brought you from the same people who bought you Good Strong Hands. It's a whimsical fantasy RPG inspired by Legends, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Willow, and the Neverending Story. And it gives you the material to create a world of childish wonder. And you have source books and stuff like that. And then, of course, there's like the Nothing. So, yeah, fantasy, legendary, childlike. I mean, they list Legend, Dark Crystal, and Labyrinth, which are all pretty dark and not very childlike. But okay, whatever. Yeah. If you're looking for a fun fantasy 1980s, more weird, I mean, I would say, when I think 1980s fantasy, I think Conan, Hawk the Slayer, Sword and Sorcerer, Excalibur, but these guys are going, no, Legend, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Willow, Neverending Story, childish wonder, and terror. The people who still have nightmares about like Legend and Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and Neverending Story, right? So yeah, but $25. From Cawood Publishing, we have Monsters of the Dungeon. This is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition / OSR monster book. It's a $47, gives you the PDF and print version of the book, and it's different dungeons with different types of monsters and quest ideas and stuff like that. So it's Monsters by Dungeons Environment, random encounters, 160 pages, 100 monsters, way more new ways to befuddle and befuse your players in your game, or you could just get random dungeons for free online. And that's it for today's Kickstarter. Yeah. Congratulations to Outgun for being the latest member of the $1 Million Kickstarter Club. Wormlings, yeah. Green Army Man kind of is my standout for the week. Not that I think it's going to be any good, but it just sounds fun and silly, and I like fun and silly. If any of those sound like something you want to support, you can find them at your favorite crowdfunding, Kickstarter, backlit, group funding, etc., site. They also all have their own sites where you can just go to and then follow the links to support them. And when the Kickstarter ends, if it's successful, you'll receive stuff within 3 to 6 months of the Kickstarter being finished. Yeah, that's it for today. I am the OG GM. If you appreciate the nonsense that comes out of my mouth, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year. And, if you want to kickstart something slightly more exciting than any of this stuff, you can just buy my merch exclusive on my Patreon for only $4.99 a month. Or you could go over to Big Geek Emporium and pick up all 13 issues of Minions on a Mission. 13 issues of Minions on a Mission. So head on down and pick them up because they're exciting. And I'm beginning a huge anthology dedicated to the Bloodlands setting from TSR. Support the OG GM. I will talk to you later. I have the sniffles.